Exciting.
All right, hitting record. And good afternoon, everybody. This is Jason Leva with the Fort Worth Community Arts Center. We would like to welcome you to another episode of Boxed Lunch on this fabulous, beautiful Monday. We have a different kind of artisan with us today, a culinary artisan. So please help me in welcoming the one and only Carolyn Phillips. How are you doing today, Carolyn?
Hey, I'm good. It's really nice to be here with you and with everybody online. So it's good to have a virtual lunch date. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time and joining me today for another episode of Boxed Lunch.
Yeah.
Before we get started, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us just a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Carolyn Phillips. I own Alchemy Pops, a gourmet frozen pop company over on South Main Street here in Fort Worth. And so I spread sunshine and smiles for a living. And so really, it's been a lot of fun. We were just chatting before we went live about joking about whether or not I considered myself a chef. And in the beginning, I've got to be honest, I really didn't. But you know, the chopping and blending and making up flavors, and here I am. I'm a food business owner and didn't realize that was what I was gonna do when I grew up, but it's been a lot of fun, so can't complain.
Very nice. Now, you're selling yourself a little short, I think, as well. It says here in my notes also that you were honored as one of 50 female entrepreneurs in the U.S. Is that correct?
Yeah, this last year for 2019, I was chosen as a Tory Burch Foundation Fellow, and so that has been a really incredible opportunity. I was able to go to New York City last year and onboard with all of the other 49 women that were chosen, and it's been a real game changer in my life. It's an amazing community and a huge honor.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Again, you know, I always get amazed. People, they don't always seem to speak of all their own accolades. You also have a second business, if I'm reading this correctly, that helps provide professional education for small business owners as well.
Yeah, part of my experience through actually becoming a Tory Burch Foundation Fellow, I realized when I got there that I was the person through the programming that some of the other women were asking to do coffee before our program started. I was helping them in their hotel rooms at night on their business pitches. I was kind of doling out some advice and helping people with various things while we were there. And by the end of the week in New York City with everyone, the foundation staff were calling me the class president of our cohort. And I had this moment where I was like, this is really a passion of mine, of helping other female founders, helping other entrepreneurs start or scale something that they're excited about. And so when I got home from New York City, it was last June, so it's been a year since I started it, but I call it Happily Ever in Business because I don't think that's a fairy tale. So I consult, I host workshops, and it's just a way to help people realize that a lot of times having your own small business can feel a little bit like a nightmare, like something you didn't sign up for. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of pressure. And I just realized I kind of have a superpower in trying to turn that into something fun, really embracing the adventure of it rather than the things that scare you. You can view it as the roller coaster you wanted to get on, right? You paid for this ride. And so you might as well enjoy it. And so that's also what I do.
Yeah, there is certainly an art and an artisan quality about running a small business.
It's true, an art and a science, isn't that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think anyone who is running their own small business or helping small business, they should certainly be considered an artist as well. So
Yes.
Congratulations on all that. It sounds
Thank
like
you
are very, very busy. So all right, so while we settle in for lunch, do you mind telling us just a little bit about what is on your lunch menu today and some of the ingredients that you have in store to prepare it?
Sure. Okay, so I'm actually really proud of myself for the prep work I did for lunch today. So I had defrosted some salmon. I had just got a big bag of frozen salmon fillets, and I actually marinated them. So I'm going to put these on the stovetop and do some fillets. And of course, whenever I'm making a meal, I'm making a bunch of food so that my husband has something to eat, my toddler has something to eat. So I do a bunch of batch things. I also have my Instant Pot in the background, if you can see it. I did a big batch of basmati rice. So I'm gonna have salmon and rice, and then I've got some salad greens. I'm gonna be chopping and making a little salad on the side as well. And my beverage of choice, I'm a big fan of Leaves Book and Tea Shop, and I still have some sparkling tea left. So this is my beverage. This one is their peach rooibos. I never know if I'm actually saying that right. I just finished, this is my other empty bottle too, because I just finished my bottle of their sparkling strawberry sencha. It's been one of my kind of stay-at-home things where I really get tired of drinking water and I really want something fun and feels a little bit luxurious to drink as a refreshment. And so I've been definitely indulging in the sparkling tea at Leeds. So it's been
I'm going to have to get over there. I think you're the second
it's delicious
person that has brought them up. So
I highly recommend.
Yeah,
everybody listening, go get some tea at Leeds. It's so good.
Awesome. Well, it's Monday, so I never thought that this would continue. So I feel as I'm all panicked about starting to repeat myself on some of these lunches that I've been making, and I never really ate a bunch of lunch to begin with because we were always working in the theater. And so today for mine, I am going to have a grilled ham and cheese, which is just basically a grilled cheese with ham on it. And then I've also got some pasta salad. So I took a real small trip this last weekend and got away, but I forgot to pack the pasta salad. So if you look on my ingredients here, I have bread, ham, and cheese, and then number 4 is Trader Joe's. So I'm really glad I left this because it's going to help me out today. And I'll give them a little shout out for some Mediterranean style orzo pasta salad. So that will be my side dish with my fabulous ham and cheese, which again is just, store-bought ham and some bread and butter, and I'll fry that up in the skillet, but hopefully I'll have a lot more fun watching you grill salmon and make this wonderful lunch plate. So, all right. So while we're getting started with all of that, I was curious if you'd talk a little bit about how your organization or even yourself has been reacting and or affected by all of this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, it's been a lot. I think, so the hardest part was I actually just temporarily closed Alchemy Pops. So on March 21st, I closed the doors without a real sense of when we would open again or what that would look like. And so I think like most people, the uncertainty of this time has been the hardest part. With a lot of the work around researching what's best, how do we kind of phase back in, what's the best thing for moving forward, I've actually decided that we're going to have to close the storefront of Alchemy Pops permanently. So August 1st is actually our final day. We're open weekends only. And so we're actually making the best of a final summer. It's not a pity party, it's a pop party. That's what I've been saying. There's a lot of things that are hard about this time. And I think one of the things that I have been talking with a lot about with other business owners, particularly other people who own a business in the hospitality industry, which has been hit particularly hard, is that there's one version where you pivot and you change and you keep going in a reimagined way. And for me, with popsicles, I can't really change into family meals. There wasn't really a way that I was able to kind of shift in that. And so I'm kind of growing the other businesses that I have, focusing on what I'm going to be doing moving forward, and letting Alchemy Pop shop close August 1st. So anybody listening, if you want some popsicles, please come see us on the weekends. We're still celebrating this summer.
Now, so are you still going to have your carts, or will the product be available outside of the storefront?
Right now, we still have our pops available through a small wholesale account with The Table over on St. Louis. It's actually right over by Leaves. So while you're visiting, getting your sparkling tea, you can also get popsicles at the table. And so we'll continue providing popsicles for them for a while, but overall the plan is we'll only have popsicles this summer. So, and then that'll be the end of it. It's a new chapter. It's definitely embracing sort of the ebb and flow and the closing of kind of this season, but I think there's still a lot that I'll be doing and staying involved, with Fort Worth, with the near South Side and all of that. So I'm not going anywhere. I still have a lot of tricks up my sleeve.
Well, I am terribly sad. I'm going to have to go rent a cooler somewhere and stock up and
Please do.
I know, and see if I can't get a final shipment for that. Oh, that breaks my heart.
That's right. Stock your freezer.
I know, really. That'll be the only thing in it is popsicles.
Right? Limited edition Alchemy Pops.
Well, it sounds like you have all kinds of things to keep you busy in addition to that. So I'm terribly sad to hear that. I've actually had them myself, and they are certainly one of my favorite summer treats here in this Texas heat. And so I will certainly make sure to acquire as many as I can. And I don't know if I'll share them with anybody if I think they're going away. So
that's okay to be selfish. You can get some for some others, and then you get your stockpile for yourself.
And that sounds like a plan indeed. So wow, that's breaking news, I think.
It is. And even though I still, while I was home during the temporary closure, because now the shop is open again for weekends, but leaning into kind of the culinary side of it while I was at home, I ended up coming up actually with a recipe book, and I called it My Pantry Kitchen. And in honor of COVID-19 and everything that was going on, I realized that I could still put my kind of creative culinary thoughts into action. And I came up with 19 recipes paired with 19 songs. So you had a kitchen party playlist to use things you already had in your pantry. So it's things like homemade granola, or making a brownie in a mug, just a single serving. Obviously I put a popsicle recipe in there. But just putting together those things to really say, hey, it's a little bit of a back to basics moment in time right now. It's not that we are trapped at home. We have a gift of staying at home and celebrating what we already have here. And so I put that together. It's called My Pantry Kitchen, and you can actually purchase it for $4 because that's the amount that, when donated to the Tarrant Area Food Bank, is enough to pay for 19 meals. So anytime you buy a copy, you can buy it at the alchemypops.com website /My Pantry Kitchen, and all of that money, 100% of the proceeds, is donated to the food bank. So it was one of the things that I was able to do while staying at home, to feel like I could do what I could from home with what I had.
Wow, that's amazing. A true entrepreneur energy. I'm impressed.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, whenever we finish with the interview, make sure you pop back over to the Facebook comments and put any of those links that you'd like in there, including the food bank as well, because I think they do great work, and anything that we can do to share those resources is absolutely valuable in this time. So yeah, thank you for that. What a great idea. And to give back that way is just absolutely incredible. So thank you for that. So speaking of culinary engagement here, do you mind talking a little bit about your meal preparation there and what you're doing, and how you go about getting this wonderful lunch ready?
Yes. Okay. So right now I'm going to put the salmon on in a second, but here, let me get a little shot. I'm just chopping up actually a nectarine and some jicama. During the pandemic, I have been doing a little bit of an ongoing ingredient challenge in the kitchen, and I've been able to do some by picking up produce boxes from Hardee's Produce, Hardee's Fresh Foods. Have you seen those, Jason? The produce boxes they've been doing?
I have not. I've seen the ugly vegetables, the ugly box.
Right. Yes, where you can buy like ugly fruit and stuff. Imperfect produce, I think, is what
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
So Hardee's is a DFW-based company, and particularly with the hit that the hospitality industry has taken, they weren't able to get their orders out from their produce warehouses. And so they actually turned to a truck to trunk model, and you could pull up your car and they would load it from their food distribution truck into your trunk, and you could get a mixed box of produce, of fruit and vegetables, for $20. And so we were doing that, and it was amazing. You could add in eggs, you could add in meat. They even had emergency rolls of toilet paper. So we've been doing this since the pandemic started, and it was so great. And so I was really challenged to use things I probably wouldn't have picked up at the grocery store myself. And it also felt like a really safe thing to do. And we were easily able to pick up a box and drop it off for my parents, or drop one off for my brother, or something like that. And so we haven't gotten a Hardee's box in the last week. So I challenged myself. Jicama was my ingredient challenge this week. So it's going on top of my salad. But I'm going to, sorry, everybody who's watching, I'm going to move the computer over to the stovetop. So hopefully I don't make you dizzy. But I'm going to get the salmon going.
Awesome.
And I actually I let it marinate. I put my salmon in, you can do soy sauce. I actually have coconut aminos from Trader Joe's. I chopped up garlic, some shallots, salt and pepper, and lemon juice. Let me see if I can get the lighting better over here. And I'm just gonna pop this on the stove top. And I put olive oil in there as well, so I can just pour the whole thing, let it kind of simmer down into the sauce. And use that for the salmon. So that's my plan.
Wow, that sounds absolutely incredible. I'm really intrigued by the Hardee's boxes. Now, again, this is the whole point of what I was trying to do with box lunches, was to find out all of this great information of the things that are available to people outside of just Facebook or just what I'm seeing on the news or hearing from my friends. So already just some wonderful resources and some fabulous information I had absolutely no idea about. I might need to check them out. Do you know if they have a website as well?
They do, and I can work to post that link too, but it's Hardee's Fresh Food.
Wow.
And they do Hardee's Direct. So you can actually order produce, meats, cheeses. We did one of their cheese packs and did kind of our own little charcuterie board, you know, at home on the back porch. And so it was really nice to mix it up, and it's very affordable. They'll do a flat of 30 eggs for $5. You can also get some really nice cuts of meat if you want to, and it's all really safe. It's a drive-through. You don't have to get out of your car, and they're all masked and gloved, and they put it in the back seat or in the trunk, and you can just keep on going. So it's awesome. They've been doing an amazing job, and it's a family-owned business that's really doing great things. So I've worked with them as a restaurant, and I've worked with them personally. So it's been really awesome.
Wow. I think that might be my grocery run this week. So thank you for sharing that with us.
And I really like it too. I used to live in Arizona when I was in grad school, and we were members of a CSA there, as well as a few years ago in Fort Worth for community supported agriculture boxes. Have you ever done one of those?
I have not. I feel so behind the curve.
No, that's okay. No, not at all. It's not, you know, super common, but it is really great. You get to prepay. It's basically a farm share. And so you prepay for the season, and then once a week you get to pick up from the farmer the things that they just pulled out of the ground. And so you get very fresh produce, and you aren't necessarily going into the grocery store like picking exactly what you're going to eat, but you end up being a part of a community that shares recipes to use those specific ingredients. So maybe you've never tried to utilize beets and the beet greens, or maybe you've got a new kind of kabocha squash you've never seen, and you get to try out these new, a lot of times heritage, you know, heirloom varieties of plants you literally can't even get in the grocery store. And so it's just a great way to explore food. And I love kind of the serendipity of it. I mean, that's part of why I love the library so much. It's in the age of point and click and finding exactly what you want.
Right.
I really want to discover something, you know. We love going to the library. I love the produce box aspect of it too. So it's kind of my little approach to food and fun.
Well, I look forward to seeing those links, and maybe that'll open me up to something other than just grilled cheese and ham and cheese.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Well, there isn't, but if
That.
I keep doing these interviews, I'm going to have to get outside my own box just so people stay interested and engaged. But if we keep getting this wonderful information that you're bringing, then maybe I can just continue to pat myself on the back for making homemade mac and cheese. So
There we go.
it's
Whatever works.
it's all about getting the right guests. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
I think I was boring in episode 1. So luckily, we've got some fabulous people joining us, which are keeping the audience engaged. So
There we go.
all right, my prep is pretty easy. I buttered some bread. I'm actually going to throw the ham in the skillet first just to warm it up. I found it helps melt the cheese on
Nice.
the inside of the sandwich bread. So while I'm getting my stuff prepped and ready to go, do you mind talking a little bit about what you have learned about yourself and or your organization during this trying time?
Yeah, one of the biggest things, and like I mentioned earlier around the Tory Burch Foundation fellowship discovery, was I don't think it's a coincidence that I started a popsicle company. I think that my optimism is a real superpower. What I realized is I have a real knack for reframing a situation, and I do think that that's a skill, and I think it's a muscle that you can grow. And so really thinking about, sure, I could be really devastated and torn down about a new path for my business and my entrepreneurship. I could be really upset about not having daycare for my toddler. I could be frustrated with the feeling of being on top of each other when you're working from home with your partner. But at the same time, I'm so lucky to get to spend this time with my family. I'm so excited to see my little girl learning to talk. And it's all of these moments that we wouldn't get. There's a lot of this time that's a real gift. It's harder to see, when there's not a bow on it. But I do think that there's so much to be glad about. And I think a lot of people are taking time right now to reassess how they use their time, what they're putting their energy into, who they're including in their lives. And that's a lot of work. I think I've realized that I'm really good at giving myself grace and space for not having to be productive every minute of the day, trying to figure out what is okay in the new normal, what feels like it's going to work for me and for my family. And that's a lot of work in itself. And so I think giving yourself credit where credit's due is something that I'm continually learning through this very strange time, because everything is a bit bonkers, nothing is like it was before. And I think that in a lot of ways that is such a good thing. So I just realized that I focus on that a lot.
Wow, that sounds great. Now, you've talked a lot about what you do or what you've done during the pandemic professionally. What do you do to pass the time personally during all of this stay at home?
Yeah, I like a lot of people, I think, started stress baking, and I started a crisis garden. So a lot of cooking, and really I get a lot of, I find a lot of therapy in chopping, just it's sort of this cathartic chop. And so a lot of cooking, a lot of baking. I made my little garden, and I've grown some squash and some little tomatoes and not a whole lot else. I mean, there was no way we were going to survive off that garden, but it was something to take care of that was a little less or lower maintenance than my 18-month-old. But yeah, so I'm definitely doing that. Been doing a lot of reading, which is nice. Big fan of the Libby app. If you don't use the library's free Libby app, for downloading ebooks and audiobooks. Really good. You can rent magazines to read. So I've been doing a lot of that, and trying to stay connected with people, you know, FaceTiming with family. We got real deep into our streaming list of shows to watch, I think, like everybody else. Yeah, so I don't know. It's been interesting. I think that trying to fill the time is a challenge on some days, particularly earlier on in the pandemic. And there was my husband and I really started using the word listless. You know, it's not even that we're bored, it's that we feel listless. It's
Sure.
Not knowing what to do and when to do it, the lack of structure, the real change of pace was jarring. And so we've really kind of come around to it and kind of figured out a new groove for what we do day to day and how we keep a routine. But it was a process. I think for a lot of people, it's been a real learning curve.
Yeah, it's certainly been a struggle for a different kind of activity. We get so wrapped up, you know, physically and mentally in our routines. It's been amazing to me myself to how to be active in silence and not drive yourself crazy with all the thoughts of what you're not able to do. More importantly, to be able to look ahead and see all the things that become possible whenever things start to slow down. So
yes, 100%.
Wow. All right. So how's your meal coming along there? I was wondering if you had any secret prep tips or any secret ingredients for assuring deliciousness. Woo! Looks like it looks pretty delicious.
It's coming along. I would say, okay, so one of my biggest things is I mentioned batch cooking. So I use my Instant Pot all the time, and I just made a big batch of basmati rice. And you can obviously make rice with water, but I actually threw in a little bit of beef broth because I had that sitting in my fridge and it was open. So if you don't use it, you lose it. I actually was very inspired by a recent Netflix episode watch where they made beef braised short rib, which I've never made in my life, and I got really excited about it. So I tried making that last week, and it was absolutely delicious. So I had some beef broth left over.
Wow. So
and now it's in my rice.
So all of my secret ingredients just seem to be the same thing: hot sauce, you know, stuff like that. So I'm going back to Old Faithful here with the horseradish sauce. But what I do is I just take a little bit and then I mix it up with the mayonnaise. So I just kind of mix that together there, and I'll put a little bit of salt and pepper in that. But if you've made a grilled cheese, you know it's kind of hard to open the bread back up and spread any of that condiment on there. So I use it more for like a little dip. So I'll just kind of set it to the side of the plate. And then once I cut up my sandwich, then I'll just dip the bread in there. So that's my secret ingredient for the day: salt, pepper, and horseradish mixed up in your mayonnaise. So there you go. Take that and do with it what you will. So
yes, go forth and use mayo. My husband does not like mayo. I'm a big fan of mayonnaise, but he does not like mayo.
I used to be a diehard Miracle Whip only, and I've learned that mayo does have its purpose, and you know, you just you got to get outside your own head, especially in this day and age. So tell them to throw a little horseradish in it and give it another try, because it does changes the texture a touch, gives it a little bit of spice. So maybe that might be.
I like that idea.
Something for
yesterday. I did a chicken bake, and I actually did. I used plain Greek yogurt and mixed that with salt and pepper and some Parmesan cheese and put that on top of the chicken to bake it. And so I've been trying to sub in some Greek yogurt of the things that I know he does eat and that like my toddler will eat. So yeah, it's good to have some sub-ins.
Yeah, that's a nice little tip there with the yogurt. So While you're finishing all that up, how do you see the street vendors and the food truck industry adapting now that businesses are starting to reopen, and yet we still have a lot of these, I don't want to say restrictions, but opportunities to socially distance and all that? How do you see that industry engaging with all of that?
You know, I think there's a lot of challenges for businesses across the board, but I think one of the really difficult things for the hospitality industry right now is, well, it may seem like food trucks and mobile caterers don't have the same hindrance of overhead for a dine-in restaurant or anything like that. They do have their own set of challenges as well. And so I think being mobile, it's nice that a lot of them have been going to like neighborhoods specifically or to offices, and they can practice social distancing measures while there, you know, working with gloves and masks and being as safe as possible. And that's good. You've got to kind of lean into what's going on. I think there's a big increase in delivery services, but that also is really tough on restaurants with the commissions that a lot of those businesses charge restaurants. There aren't big margins in the food business for the most part. And so the everyday takeaway, if the delivery app is charging between 20 and 30%, then the increase in the price passed along to the customer makes it really difficult when there are a lot of people that need to save a little more money than normal in this current climate. And so the other side of it too is with people kind of pinching their pennies a bit more, there's lower revenues across the board that a lot of restaurants and food businesses have been experiencing. And they also have increased costs that are about meeting these new regulations, maybe putting up the plexiglass to help serve customers, the PPE that they need to be making. So there's a recent article that I had shared on my own Facebook page around this scissoring effect of the pressure of the lower revenues on one side and the higher cost of doing business on the other. And so it is a very, very tough time right now for the hospitality industry. And I think people are having to be really innovative and creative and look for where they can find help. I think the biggest thing is for people to be patient and have care, you know, and have grace for these people that are trying very, very hard to serve people well. And I'm heartened by a lot of the stories of people that are buying gift cards and doing what they feel that they can. But I also am hearing stories of people being quite short with food businesses and not very understanding in how difficult it is to operate right now. So I think that one of the big lessons in 2020 is that we should all try to be better humans to other humans. I mean, this is really, there's a level of dignity we all deserve. There's a level of respect that you have a choice in giving to others. And I think that we all just need to do some introspection about how to be good people, do our best with what we've got. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, even just taking a breath before we open our mouths goes a long way to
it does.
To try to have a little bit of compassion and empathy for the people that out and around. I understand that people have their values and their belief systems and all of that, but we're all on the same planet here, and you know, our diversity is one of the things that makes us special, and at the same time, I really hope people are able to continue to let that acknowledgement bring us together, and not continue to try to weaponize all of these things. I mean, we're gonna have to have each other at some point in time to help each other, and just taking a breath before we give our opinion goes an awful long way in just the tone or the way that we speak to each other. And you know, I think a lot of the engagement, if you want to call it that, just comes from the way people say things. It's not even necessarily the ideas or the beliefs they have. It really is just the way that it's presented. And I really encourage us all to just take a break, take a breath, and look across at the person you're speaking with, because at the end of the day, they are a person just like you are. And it's tough times out there. So
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and if part of that take a break means you can treat yourself and treat someone else, do it. It could be a popsicle from Alchemy Pops. The two that I actually just supported recently that are amazing local Black businesses are Doughboy Donuts. Melvin is a great guy and a great friend. And Tarika Lofton, I just got some treats from Loft 22 Cakes. You know, sometimes it is just about take a beat, eat something sweet, and just be nice. So I think that that's kind of part of my motto. I think that that's also something that's a plus category in the plus side for food businesses right now, that those kind of specialty little luxuries in your life, those are pretty recession proof. We saw this in the last recession, that people do still want to go out for ice cream. They still are going to go get that cupcake. They may be cutting back on vacations or something, but the local food places that people love, it really is about visiting that third place, right? It's not work and it's not your home, but it's that third place where you're making memories and you're sharing something special and you're making connections with people. And
yes.
Our local businesses are those third places. And it's very heartbreaking to think about how many we might lose in the pandemic. But I think it's really important to understand that they're worth so much more than just the food they make.
Yes, absolutely. I've heard a lot of people talk about, on my next question, I'll even ask you and we can come back to the answer. When I ask people what they most look forward to indulging in terms of a food venue or a place to go, the consistency has always been the socialization of the particular place. And so I find it very refreshing that people are looking to engage socially. And it really does seem to be the core of a lot of that. Great food is great, but really one of the things that I have found that it does is bring people together for communication. And I, hearken back to the days of my father would never eat dinner until we all got there. And it wasn't about what we had. It was just about the fact that we were all there together at the table, and that opportunity to engage in conversation, to speak our minds. And it is certainly a common thread with one of the things that I love about food. So on that note, what are you looking forward to indulging in whenever you're comfortable enough to get back out there and maybe have a meal outside of your own home?
Yeah, well, while we have been home, we've really been loving. We've done it twice. We've been able to drive through Bonnell's and pick up the family style meals for $4. And it's been so incredible. Oh, so delicious and so helpful. And John Bonnell has been an absolutely incredible anchor of the hospitality industry and the restaurant community here in Fort Worth during this time of just really stepping up as a leader, providing information. And so I've been really glad that I can support him and his company that way. I think for getting out, we've talked about going to the drive-in and seeing a movie. That's been really great. I mean, just being able to sit on a patio. We like to go to Press Cafe and have a beer or a glass of wine. It really is also about one of the things that I've been talking about is grabbing some of the grab and go food at Meyer and Sage. Callie Salz is an incredible chef, and she has the most amazing grazing boards that you can pick up to go.
I saw one.
So beautiful. You almost don't want to eat it. It's so pretty.
I know, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
Again, another piece of art in itself.
Yeah, so those and having a picnic with that, I mean, those are the things that we really, really love doing. So it really is about those locally owned food places.
Wow. Okay, so we're coming up to plating lunches and presentation. How's your lunch coming there?
It's great. I actually finished all the little salmon pieces for my daughter so she can have those for dinner. So it's all about multitasking. So my salmon is looking really good. The sauce has simmered down and concentrated into a really nice kind of soy glaze. So I'm going to pour this over my bed of rice, and put the dressing on my salad, and we're getting there.
All right. Now, don't give away the reveal yet.
Okay.
So I'm going to start plating mine up as well. And now you've talked a lot about community resources. Are there any other that you have seen or that you're using personally? And how can your organization be assisted or provide assistance to the community and other organizations out there?
You know, right now, I just feel there's so much that people can do on an individual level, whether it's lending your voice, whether it's using your pocketbook, whatever it is that you're able to do right now. I think it's really important to take a stand about the issues that are really affecting and really very obvious in our community right now. What I've done, like through my Pantry Kitchen, was my master's degree is actually in food system sustainability, and thinking about the food insecurity caused by this very big economic disruption we're going through with COVID, and saying, hey, there are problems that have existed before COVID that are exacerbated by them. And so a lot of what we're seeing going on with just the unrest we feel in our hearts and the nervousness we have about the virus and all of these things, a lot of the issues are exacerbated by the pandemic and aren't necessarily because of it. And so I think being able to figure out what it is that you can do personally and what's best for the people immediately in your life, and thinking about all the people that you don't know and what's best for them. Because I think the weirdest part about these months is that everything is very spread out across the United States and spread out across the globe, and everyone is experiencing these times very differently. And so figuring out how you can live your values and make your choices reflect your priorities, I think is the best thing that you can do right now, and it's totally under your control. So that's really what I've been focusing on during this time.
Wow. Any tips or tricks to stay sane at home, mentally and or physically?
You know, one of the things that I've been doing is realizing just how much I need alone time. You know, it's easy to feel like you're alone if you're, you know, in one side of your house. But, you know, if I can hear my toddler in the other room, I'm not really getting that relaxed time. And so I think it's important, whether if you're alone, if there are ways that you can, if you're, you know, alone while you're kind of going through the pandemic and stuff, or if you're around family or roommates or whatever, I think figuring out your boundaries and what you need. Is it that you'd feel better just reading a book or going out for a walk? So we've been taking a morning walk every day. It's been really, really important to the sanity of our little family unit, and getting outside is one of the things that we feel very grateful that we get to do. And we also put up string lights in our backyard and set up a little baby pool for our daughter. So we've been able to hang out in the backyard as well in the evenings, and she just splashes around in a little pool. So I think getting in the outdoors has been one of the biggest brain savers of this time.
Wow, that's all some great information and some wonderful tips and tricks there. All right, are you all presented and ready for your reveal?
Yes, I've got it all set.
All right, now yours is going to look better than mine, so I'll go first and get it out of the way here. So again, I'm using my fine china today, my paper.
Only the best.
Chinette. Yes, absolutely. So I just cut up my sandwich there in a little bit of fours, and then I took that salad and put it right on top in the middle there. And then you can see I've got my horseradish little dipping sauce right there. So that's it for me. And,
nice.
I gotta say, not bad for just a plain old ham and cheese sandwich.
Not bad at all. It looks delicious.
All right, let's see what you got.
Okay, so I've got my bed of basmati rice and my teriyaki glazed salmon ready to go. Got all the little good bits of the garlic and the shallot on top. I'm also, during COVID, I've done way too many dishes while we've been staying home. So I just made my salad in the bin of my organic baby kale. So I just put everything on top and put the dressing on as well. I'm just doing a little light balsamic dressing. And then I've got my Riff Ram TCU RAR glass filled to the brim with my Leaves sparkling tea. So ready for lunchtime.
It looks absolutely delicious. Any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share with the public before we wrap it up?
Stay safe, be well. Let's try to be better humans.
Indeed. Short and to the point, and more importantly, very, very important. Carolyn, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Make sure you pop back on and give us some links to some of those wonderful resources, some absolutely fabulous information. Get out there, ladies and gentlemen. Take advantage of the summer months with those fabulous popsicles. And again, I'm just so grateful that you took the time to join us and share all this great information. So we'll be back on Friday, really ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. With another episode. And with that being said, stay safe out there, everyone. Make sure you follow the Fort Worth Community Arts Center on Facebook, Instagram. Hop over to YouTube where you can see all of our other box lunch interviews. And Carolyn, bon appetit. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. And I look forward to seeing you in person again.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.